Welcome back. As many eyes are on the future of our nation and the presidential race in 2012, we are excited to have Newt Gingrich in studio with us here on WMBF News this week. Newt, we've been talking about a number of items, of course, affecting all Americans. Let's touch a little bit locally, though, in South Carolina. The I-73 push to get more tourists into the Grand Strand is huge. Funding, always an issue. What mechanisms might be an option? Some people are saying a gas tax. Is that feasible, do you think, in your eyes?
No, I think it's very unlikely, with the danger of gasoline already going up, it's very unlikely that that's going to be the solution. Different states have taken different approaches. You know, in Indiana, Governor Mitch Daniels has actually created a toll road that has been very, very successful. The people, where the people using it paid for it, in effect. There's a prospect here, and something you may want to think about in terms of, I haven't seen numbers on this, but I've been chatting with people here in the Chamber of Commerce and in other groups. My sense is that your total volume of road travel now is so big that you ought to be one of the top 2 or 3 projects in the whole country just on merit. Mm-hmm. And I would push pretty hard to have the Federal Highway Administration look at laying out and beginning to match the money from the state level to build this road, because on pure merit, you have more, you draw within about a 10-hour distance, more people here as tourism all spring and summer than any other place in the region. And sure. I think that in the old days when they first designed this project in 1955, and Myrtle Beach has changed a lot since sure. 1955. So I would be very supportive of the federal government participating in building it to here. The other thing I would say is that Myrtle Beach has an unusual interest in lower gasoline prices. I strongly favor an American energy program. I want to see the maximum amount of American oil, American gas, American coal, American nuclear power, American biological fuels, whether it's ethanol or it's something else. But you all have, because every dollar above $4, you reduce your tourism dramatically.
Sure.
And so this area has a unique interest, I think, in getting the Congress to decide to override the Obama administration's opposition and to make it possible to produce oil and gas offshore, to make it possible to move towards better use of coal and better use of ethanol and soy diesel and fuel from algae, to really move into an American production system so we're not affected by the Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Venezuelan situations. I think there's a huge opportunity for us to get $400 billion a year of additional jobs in the U.S. while keeping energy prices lower, and that has a big direct impact on your tourism.
And you had 16 million tourists a year or so coming into the Grand Strand area, of course, a huge feeder. Let's talk about your interest in general as at least exploring and researching in South Carolina and across the nation for a potential presidential run at this point. Can you give us some of the motives that really sparked the idea in your mind? Was it the Obama administration? Was it a combination of what you'd seen in the late 90s and how you're fearful that things could be repeated on a negative scale?
Well, let me say, first of all, I think anybody who's even thinking about running has to have South Carolina in their mind. I mean, South Carolina, for the last 5 Republican nominees, has been the state consistently that picked every single one of them. Mm-hmm. So South Carolina plays a big, big role in the Republican nominating process. I think what motivates me, my father was a career soldier for 26 years in the infantry in the U.S. Army. And he really did believe in duty and in serving America. And I became aware, I think starting with the Ninth Circuit Court ruling that saying one nation under God in the Pledge of Allegiance was inappropriate. That there was something so fundamentally wrong with the country, excuse me, that we needed new leadership and that we needed an effective approach. And then you look at the rise of China and India and Germany, and you look at the economic competition. Then you look at the dangers from radical Islamists and the fact that you have an administration that can't even tell us the truth about who's trying to kill us. And so as I looked at each of these pieces, I got drawn more back into public life and more into trying to provide some level of leadership. And the issue of the paperback version of To Save America, we really outline in that book a whole range of solutions that we began growing starting about 2002, 2003. and that have just gotten bigger and bigger. We have a whole chapter, for example, on the right kind of health system, because you can't just repeal Obamacare. You've also got to find a better system to replace it.
For people who feel that despite the warts and accusations against the Obama administration, whichever Republican runs against Obama needs to have obviously great plans and great ideas. You've outlined many of those. What, if anything, do you think is the specific ticket to get the nation to listen to the alternate side, the alternate option?
Well, maybe I'm just too naively optimistic, but in all the years I've been involved in public life, I've never seen the level of attention that people give now. I think the combination of the bad economy, the Times Square bomber, the Fort Hood killer, the Christmas Day bomber in Detroit, the radicalism of the Obama administration, I think all these different pieces come together, and people have a sense of commitment now that I don't remember ever seeing before. So I would say that as I go around the country and I talk to people, I get the clear sense that you are going to have greater opportunity in the next 2 years to talk about what America needs and how to do it than we have at any time since 1932.
Interesting, for sure. Let's look at the financial situation. Do you think that the people out there here in the Grand Strand, if we hear our nation's debt at the state that it's growing, do you think that people get that they gather what the impact means for our children, for our children's children?
Well, I think it makes them nervous. They don't know in detail, but it's a little bit like being a passenger on an airplane and hearing a strange noise. You may not know what it means, but It kind of worries you. I also think people intuitively believe, and this is why when I was Speaker, we balanced the budget for 4 straight years. We thought it was a moral issue. We thought that government shouldn't have the ability to spend unendingly because you can't. No business can. The TV station can't. I mean, everybody else understands if you just throw money away every day, you're going to go broke.
Right.
Well, guess what? It takes longer for government, but it happens there too. That's the story of Portugal and Greece and Ireland. So I think that there's an instinct among most Americans that Washington's too big, too expensive, the deficit's too great, the bureaucracy's too strong, and that we need to have a really serious course correction to shrink the government, get power out of Washington, and dramatically reduce the deficit, move back to a balanced budget. And I don't think people would tell you in great detail, but I think if you dropped in and talked to them, after church on Sunday, or you saw them at the local grocery store and chatted with them for a few minutes, you'd find this repetitive theme. Washington's spending too much, it's borrowing too much. In the long run, we can't sustain it. Somebody needs to fix it.
The idea of a flat tax, something that could help correct the wrong or perspective?
Well, I think a flat tax is well worth studying. The challenge of the flat tax is that you have to repeal the constitutional amendment for an income tax, because I would never want to give Congress both taxes, because I'm confident sooner or later they'd use both taxes. So to get to a flat tax, I think you've got to actually repeal the income tax amendment.
And of course, the book, To Save America, will get into some of that, I believe,
yes,
as far as the finances and ways to get out of our debt that we're in. We are talking with Newt Gingrich, potential presidential candidate for 2012. A lot more, including the health care situation, when we come back. Stay with us.